One of the things that remodelers and many pros struggle with is you want to get back to inquiries quickly, right? You get an email or another inquiry quickly, but you want it to be professional, and balancing that, right? You're in your truck, you're driving around, right? It's not always easy to do. Even for teams that have dedicated people. And so we've built AI directly into the email response tool so that not only can you have templates, but it actually can suggest a very professional response based on what the homeowner specifically said in the email.
You're listening to the Remodeler Digital Playbook, a show created to inspire remodeling contractors to achieve success in their remodeling business. I am your host, Ratna Ramakrishnan. I'm also the founder of Remodeler Digital, the digital marketing agency for remodeling contractors. In each episode, I'll be chatting with remodeling contractors and top experts discussing their proven methods for revenue generation, the insights they've gained, and the keys to remodeling success. And I'll be sharing my knowledge of how I created a 7-figure business using digital marketing. I'm joined by Liza Hausman, Vice President of Industry Marketing at Houzz. On this podcast, we typically chat with remodeling contractors. And in the past, I've had the opportunity to speak to the VP of Google Maps, Miriam Daniel. Similar to that, I'm super excited to speak to this industry veteran, Liza, who is not a remodeling contractor, but serves remodeling contractors. She's been instrumental in shaping Houzz from a design inspiration site into a full business management platform for remodelers and contractors. Liza, it's such a pleasure to have you here.
It's great to be here, Ratna. Thank you so much for having me.
I'm delighted to speak to you. So tell us about Houzz and why it was started. I know you've been there for 13, 14 years.
14 years.
Congratulations. Congratulations. What problem was Houzz originally trying to solve?
Sure. It's a great question. And I think a story we've been telling for some time, where our founders started Houzz really because they were renovating their own home, and they found it really tough to find the right pros and the right resources. And they thought, wouldn't it be great if there was one place where homeowners could easily connect with builders, remodelers, architects, and designers. So it really kind of created this incredible marketplace where homeowners could learn about, architects, builders, remodelers, and designers, see their work, and hire them. And I think we've had more than a decade now of really incredible stories where, homeowners hire pros in another country and even more locally to create beautiful homes for themselves and their families.
That's fascinating. Houzz has really come a long way, and that leads me to something which a lot of remodelers wonder, which is, how does Houzz Pro fit with the remodeler's tech stack today?
Yeah, great question. So, I think as we continue the history, about 5 years ago, 6 years ago, we realized we could do even more than just connect our pro community with homeowners looking to hire. What they really needed help with was helping them manage those same clients and projects from start to finish, using the same approach of great design and ease of use, married with cutting edge technology like AI and 3D. And I think that's kind of always the place that Houzz is occupied as a brand in the minds of homeowners and in pros, which is like, it's where design and technology meet. And the goal really has been to help pros simplify and scale their businesses. So at that time, we built Houzz Pro software, right? It's an all-in-one platform where everything from the first hello with a client to final payment flows smoothly. And I say all in one because I think that's important to the discussion of the tech stack, because our goal isn't just to be a part of a remodeler's tech stack. It really is meant to be the central tech stack. Certainly we have integrations and more we can talk about that. But what we realized was that combining everything into one platform, we're able to replace a whole host of other tools that don't talk to each other, so that data can flow seamlessly, right, from the first time you get in touch with a prospective client all the way to that final payment, because we talked to many pros who would do binder handoffs, or right, we're losing information trying to move it from one stage of the project to another. And so we're really trying to streamline that whole process by having everything in one stack.
Very cool. So, remodeling, as we know, is complex business. There's so many stages, so many touch points, and we all need to put AI and technology to work. So once a remodeler goes with Houzz Pro, sets it up, the big question is, does it actually move the needle, right? So let's talk results. What results are you seeing after, your clients adopt Houzz Pro?
And it was really important to us, and to, we knew we built a good product, but it was important for us to actually really prove that folks were getting ROI out of it. And so we did some very detailed research on that. And we found that on average, pros using Houzz Pro saw 40% revenue growth in their second year using the software. We also see that pros using Houzz Pro software close projects 4 days faster. So it's, again, helping them get back to customers faster, and then being able to do that in a very professional way. Another really important stat is homeowners pay twice as fast when they're paying, using the Houzz platform. So it's not only faster, but it's removed a lot of that discomfort of talking about money and payments that remodelers hate to follow up. So having the kind of, not only can homeowners pay on the platform, but the platform can automatically nudge them when things are due or overdue, so that it becomes less personal and less uncomfortable. And then finally, 50% of homeowners that we surveyed prefer pros who use Houzz Pro software. So we surveyed homeowners who had hired pros, and we definitely got a big thumbs up from homeowners about their experience working with pros using the software.
Excellent. So it's not only benefiting the remodeler, who is your client, but also their client, the homeowner, and making the process seamless.
And that's really important, right? Because that's your referral network. Those are their reviews. Those are the pieces that are going to be the flywheel that drive your business. And so not only is it making you more efficient on the back end, and but it's removing friction with the homeowner, giving them a great client, helping you give them a great client experience so that they're happy.
Cool. So it sounds like there are some real benefits once a remodeling contractor commits to Houzz Pro. But beyond saving time or, making things easier in terms of payment, some remodelers that I work with are looking for a way to step back from the day-to-day grind, right? So how does Houzz help remodelers step away from the daily chaos of running jobs?
No, it's a great question. One of the big challenge is, how do you spend less time in the business and more time on the business, right? So that you can improve the business. And, I think there's many things, right? The Houzz's tools and the AI-powered tools take on a lot of the admin work, and that certainly helps folks have more time to spend on the business. But I also think that it provides reports and insights and budget information that enable remodelers to have that high level, the key information about how the business is performing, so that they can, again, work on the business and improve it over time. So there's, both kind of the freeing up of the admin tasks and reducing a lot of the time that most of, that a lot of that kind of administrative workflow from estimates to building schedules takes. But I think it's also providing the kind of high level business information that remodelers need, right, to improve the company and really take it to the next level.
Got it. So, working on the business is something that all remodelers, all small business owners strive for. And it's only possible if the business is indeed growing. And so if we were to look at a bigger picture question, how do remodelers use your tech stack to win not just more jobs, but higher value ones, right? So you mentioned the use of AI. How is it playing a role today within Houzz Pro to help remodelers win that $70,000 kitchen or that $250,000 addition? Because that's what, everybody wants to hit their own revenue goals.
Yep. There's I'll cover a few different areas. So one, when we talk about winning business, we hear from top firms that their presentations now include a slide on how they use technology, and that's often the slide that homeowners want to stop and talk the most about because it's so attached to their experience of the renovation. So if you as a remodeler are able to show your client that they're going to see a schedule and they're going to know what's happening at any time on their site, or that they're going to have a dashboard, and so they'll see exactly what payments are due, what choices they have to make next on the project, what their to-do list looks like. All of those things really build confidence among homeowners that they're going to have visibility into what's happening with their project. And so using technology in the sales process that way has been one way. Another is that tools like our 3D floor planner are allowing remodelers to show during the sales process, right, without having to invest in very expensive tools or contractors to build 3D models. Remodelers are now able to use our tool to show homeowners what their space is going to look like at the end of the project. And that helps not only with getting homeowners to pull the trigger, because they can see, oh, if I move that wall and I now have an island and you can walk me through the space in augmented reality and I can see just how lovely it's going to be and how much elbow room I have, right? They're going to be more likely to pull the trigger. And we're also hearing that it helps with upsells. So if you can show them, okay, well, if we spend a little more and do this window and right, add the skylights, here's what it's going to look like in a photorealistic rendering. And so we've made it very fast, easy, and affordable for remodelers to bring those types of visuals into the sales process, not just into later stages of the design and construction process. So those are, there's two ways. I have many more I could go into, but I think those are two that we hear time and time again.
Very cool. Very cool. Yeah, indeed, remodeling is visual business. So the more we can show and tell, the easier it is for the homeowner to visualize how, because people want to live in beautiful spaces. That's the premise of remodeling. So that's wonderful. So today there's a huge shift from search engines to what we call ask engines, right? So there's the whole theory of ask engine optimization, AI assistants that now recommend remodelers. And there's a lot of digital marketers that are, I'll help you get found on Gemini and ChatGPT and, and so for remodelers, that literally means that they need to have what I call an omnipresent strategy, right? They have to show up everywhere clients are searching for them, be it Houzz, be it Google, be it, Instagram, Facebook, and now they have to compete with AI as well. I'd love your thoughts on how Houzz fits into this bigger ecosystem. Does Houzz invest in SEO? So if a brand were tied to Houzz, they'd have the benefit of Ask Engine optimization to be found on Ask Engines.
Yeah, you might be a little psychic because we're actually working on a webinar right now talking about, instead of SEO, right, it's GEO, Generative Engine Optimization,
Sure.
to help remodelers understand the impact of this on what they're doing. We definitely provide a number of marketing tools, providing websites that a website builder that remodelers can use that actually does lend itself to GEO is part of the platform. So it enables remodelers to add the kind of content that they need to be relevant and to be found. But it is a really interesting area and something that we certainly are focused on. Houzz, for sure, we're optimizing for that kind of discovery. Pros and the websites that we provide for them, we're optimizing for that kind of discovery. And so, I know it can be overwhelming. And so, it's primarily about, doing the things you're doing, but making sure that you're putting as much description about your business, who you serve, and all of that content that it's out there. And then also, don't forget about your referral network. We have a built-in email marketing tool so that you can, go back to those past customers and celebrate, right, new projects, really expose them to maybe even the new technologies that you're using. But it's really important to make sure that you're balancing both of those efforts.
Awesome. So within those email workflows and things that a Houzz Pro user is able to do, are you integrating AI as well? So the brand voice is authentic and it sounds like the contractor, or, what's special about them? What makes one remodeling contractor, their unique selling proposition? Do they have the ability to integrate those things instead of relying on an admin or somebody that says the right thing about the brand at the right time? So what are some things that you're doing within your workflows?
Yeah, I'll tell you a bunch. So what you're talking about in terms of generative AI for writing responses, we've definitely built in some great tools. One of the things that remodelers and many pros struggle with is you want to get back to inquiries quickly, right? You get an email or another inquiry quickly, but you want it to be professional, and balancing that, right? You're in your truck, you're driving around, right? It's not always easy to do. Even for teams that have dedicated people. And so we've built AI directly into the email response tool so that not only can you have templates, but it actually can suggest a very professional response based on what the homeowner specifically said in the email. So we're seeing a ton of use of AI in that way because it's, again, speeding the process, but also making it much more professional and much more personalized for the homeowner. One idea that I heard the other day that I thought was interesting is a pro actually would feed AI all the communications from an initial client consult or emails, and they would do a personality analysis so they could figure out with that client, okay, this client needs a lot of extra hand holding, and this one doesn't want to hear, they only want digital and they just want to know where they stand financially. So, but it can really help you better understand your clients and deal with different personalities because everyone runs into that. But some of the other ways, that we're integrating AI is, for example, creating estimates. We have an AI tool to help if you're doing a new type of project. It can draft all of the line items. You can just speak what you're looking for. And what we hear from pros is it works great as a baseline, but it also includes things that they might have forgotten, right? That are line items that, didn't think to include that. And so it's really ensuring that they don't leave items off that might be costly. It can automatically generate a project schedule from an estimate. So that used to be something incredibly tedious to do. Mm-hmm. And it can also, create takeoffs, help you do takeoffs more quickly and more accurately, or even daily logs. If your team is on the job site, they can just pull up the Houzz Pro app, speak the update. They can even take video and speak over the video, capture that, and automatically formats it and puts it in the right project. So there's just a lot of ways that AI can be applied to pro workflows.
Wonderful. So one of the most common questions that most people have today is AI going to take over my job? And I think remodeling is one business where, AI can probably streamline the heck out of your processes, but there is no way it is going to be able to do the job of a tiler or a cabinet installer or a roofer. So, remodeling is set. We're here to stay. What would be your advice to remodeling contractors who are, they're brilliant at what they do. They're very math savvy, but sometimes they're tech averse. They're just not, they're like, don't talk to me about AI, right? I got enough things going on. What would be your advice when somebody's approaching or trying to think about adopting a tool like Houzz Pro? How would you quell their fears, or what would your, 2 cents be?
Yes. I mean, my first response is give yourself more credit than you are, right? If you're using your phone, then you're not so tech averse. Pretty much everyone has a smartphone. If you can use your smartphone, then you can do this. And we've tried to design it to be super simple. But I think the other piece of advice is to start with things that you don't enjoy doing, because you will be much more enthusiastic about offloading activities that you find tedious, right? And don't enjoy doing, so that you can spend more time on the things you do enjoy doing. You don't have to have AI do everything. If there are things that you really love, fine, stick with it. But if you're trying to figure out a way to get started, choose a few tasks that you really don't enjoy. And that's a great way to kind of dig in, because you'll feel so much pleasure and and positive energy from, having something taken off your plate that really bogs you down.
That's indeed great advice, right? Pick the things that you dislike and see if you can use technology to solve it for you. Um, I really admire the industry that you're in and how long you've been with Houzz and the solutions that you're building. There's a lot of young remodeling contractors that listen to this podcast, and I wanted to ask you if you'd be open to sharing about, have you had a mentor in your life that helped you, considering that you're now an industry veteran that's been in this industry for so long? Do you mentor other people? I'd love to hear any mentoring stories that you're open to sharing.
Sure. And I do love mentoring people. I mean, I always look at the team and our broader team as, right, folks who are developing in their career. And I'm always happy to make time. And we have some structured programs in house to do that. But I definitely enjoy mentoring, and I love helping people find their strengths. It's, as far as for me as a mentor, the one that really stands out for me is my grandmother, who was just really scrappy. So I've always been entrepreneurial. I like wearing a lot of hats. I like starting new things. And my grandmother was always like, if you get a question in an interview, if you do know how to do something, just say yes, and then go learn and figure out how to do it right before you start the job. And so she was, kind of depression era mentality, but she was very much like, you can go figure this out, right? You're smart. You can figure it out. You don't have to rely on somebody else necessarily to teach you. If you can, that's great, but be a self-starter. And I think that was great advice that I got very early in my career.
So, where did you grow up, Liza?
I grew up in Southern California in Los Angeles.
Very cool. Do you use AI yourself a lot today? Are there favorite tools that you have that you seem to default to just help with your work processes, just life?
Yeah, I do. I mean, the same types of functionality that we've built into Houzz Pro, but I definitely use it to help with writing. I think one of the great things is synthesis. So let's say I did a whole bunch of customer interviews to try to understand, feedback on one particular feature. I can feed those into ChatGPT, for example, and have it synthesize for me any common themes. So it can just speed some of those processes. And so I do use AI, and I do find that it can really help with that kind of information synthesis when you have a whole lot of data.
Yes, it's incredible. The data analysis that these AI algorithms are capable of doing is just so much fun, and it can spit it out in a slide format or a table format, or which just makes it so much more easier to dig in and analyze the data. Um, do you have a favorite book or a movie or anything you'd like to share?
Oh gosh. I mean, I have a lot of favorites. If we're talking more in a business context, I would say my favorite book that was helpful for me early on is called Women Don't Ask.
Hmm.
And it's really about negotiating, but it's relevant for anyone that doesn't feel like they're confident asking for what they're worth in a job or in a negotiation. And it really kind of gets into the psychology, because you as a young woman, I was like, why are all these confident men who, don't really have anything to be confident about, feel comfortable tooting their own horn, and women tend to be like, oh, well, I don't have this or I don't have that, even if they're more qualified. And so it does provide a lot of sort of interesting psychology behind that, but also just a lot of data that will give you confidence to um, ask for what you're worth when you interview for a job.
Very cool. Yeah, there's the National Association of Women in Construction, and it's incredible how many women are in remodeling and in construction, and are the
Yes.
GCs, the general contractors that head the business and run the business. So that's a great book. Would you be open to sharing about your personal life? What do you like to do for fun when you're not working?
Absolutely. Tennis is really my main activity out of work. I think it's the main thing to de-stress and give me something else to focus on with everything going on in the world today and with work. So I like to do something physical, and then I'm a big reader, and I'm an empty nester now, so starting to do more travel. I have two kids who are out of the house, and so yeah, my husband and I are just planning different trips so we can see a little bit more of the country and the world.
Very cool. I am a mom to two boys. They're high schoolers, so I'm edging on that empty
You're
nest
close.
phase. Yeah.
Yes.
What kind of a mom are you? Are you the weepy mom who feels sad at hitting empty nest, or you're like, yes, this is a cycle of life. Let me go.
I would say I'm the weepy mom, but I definitely miss them. There it's quieter. The dog, fortunately, we have the dog, so somebody's happy to see me when we get home. But I'm happy that they're kind of launched and successful. So it's hard to be upset about that they're kind of, you want to see them grow up. But I do try to plan opportunities for either them to come home or for us to go visit them because I do miss them a lot.
Yeah, I can imagine. Well, I'm not looking forward to the empty nest phase. I'm just cherishing the days for what it is right now. That's awesome. Thanks so much, Liza, for sharing all of this. Any other last bits of nuggets of wisdom for remodelers on how to balance growth or tech adoption or client satisfaction?
Yeah, I guess, for AI, if you're going to use AI, make sure you're using it in a paid subscription. So whether that's Houzz Pro or something else, because you don't want to share your business and client data with the wider world. So that's really important from a privacy standpoint. And then, I think it's good to experiment in a safe space, and remember that AI works best when it has the full context. So, whether it's an end-to-end platform like Houzz or just making sure that you're setting it up right to have full information, you're going to set yourself up for success.
Cool. So thank you so much for joining me today. And for anyone wanting to learn more about Houzz Pro, we'll be linking all the resources. And for our listeners, remember, technology is here to help you scale, but omnipresence is what keeps you competitive in a world of ask engines and generative engines and AI-driven recommendations. So thanks again, Liza.
Thanks, Ratna.
If you would like to generate more leads through your digital marketing efforts, please visit remodelerdigital.com and check the workshop section for video training and guides on everything from running effective pay-per-click ads and how to have your website be best friends with the Google algorithm. Also sign up for a 15-minute discovery call with me to run an online snapshot report of your remodeling business. This has been another successful episode of the Remodeler Digital Playbook. Thanks for listening.